Hello and welcome to Lesson 3 in our Safe at Home Visual Journal series. This lesson is Quarantine Essentials. Please post any questions that you may have at any time in the comments section under the assignment or on YouTube. I'll be available for discussion live and to answer questions during art class from Tuesday and Thursdays from 11 to 12:30 p.m. and office hours Monday through Thursday 3 to 3:30 p.m. In this distance learning unit, we are creating a visual journal to reflect on our experience and record a historical primary document of this time that we're living through. Let's take a look at our agenda. First, we'll talk about quarantine essentials. Second, we'll begin setting up. Third, we'll create our sketch. And then finally, we're going to close out with our journal reflection. Here's our lesson objective. Shape an artistic investigation of an aspect of present-day life using a contemporary practice of art or design. Students will create a sketch of 3 essential artifacts that have helped keep them going during the coronavirus pandemic in their visual journal and write a journal reflection explaining their significance. This time that we're living through during the coronavirus outbreak is historic, and it's our job as artists to record our experience. The artifacts that students value during the stay-at-home order tell the story of their time. The essential question for week 2 is, what artifacts tell the story of our time during the stay-at-home order? Okay, so today's drawing prompt is draw 3 things you need to help you survive during quarantine. So think about, what are the 3 most essential items that have been getting you through the stay-at-home order? What has been keeping you going? We're going to go through 4 steps as we prepare for our sketch. First, we're going to think really hard about what we're going to draw. Second, we're going to organize our composition. Third, we're going to sketch, and then finally, refine our drawing. Before we can draw, we got to think about what are the 3 most essential items that have been keeping us going through the stay-at-home order. Find those objects, and then we'll be ready to arrange them. We'll talk more about the objects I chose in a few minutes. First, I want to talk a little bit about arrangement. When you're arranging your objects, think about creating a grouping of your objects so that it creates some interest. I'm going to try to overlap and arrange some of these objects with strong diagonals to create a little bit more dynamics to the composition and make it a little bit more eye-catching. There are a lot of different theories about composition. One of the ones that we have working for us currently is if we're using just 3 objects, we're using the rule of odds, which creates a certain amount of interest and catches our eye. But ultimately, you're going to want to arrange the objects in a way that looks balanced and interesting. Now that we have our objects arranged, let's get ready to sketch. Choose what supplies you'll use and create a full-page sketch creatively answering the prompt. Start off by sketching out the basic shapes the way you see them in front of you. So the essential items that I chose to draw are all things that kind of follow the theme of spending quality family time, because ultimately that's the kind of thing that's been keeping me going through this time. So the first thing I'm drawing is some sidewalk chalk, and I'm going to try to keep these diagonals leading into the picture and try to use the chalk to kind of set up some of my early proportions. We'll see how that goes. The next thing I'm drawing is my son's inline skates and his Lego dino train. So one morning we were sitting there playing on my son's playmat with 2 of his favorite things, trains, which he loves, and dinosaurs, which he also loves. So I decided to try to put these 2 things together and loaded some of his dinosaurs up on the train. And, his laughter was just so amazing, and it's really kind of the thing that's kind of kept me going, probably the most when I'm feeling down or, when I'm feeling kind of locked in. My son's laughter definitely takes over and raises my spirits quite a bit. So the dino train helps to kind of represent that. One of the other things that we spent a lot of time doing recently, and maybe we haven't or wouldn't have done if it weren't for the fact that we have to stay at home so much, but we bought him some inline skates to try to get him learning how to skate. He's only a year and a half old, so it's a little bit early, but after him seeing me skate, he tried my skates on, which were obviously way too big, so we decided to get him started with his own pair. So as I'm working here, I'm trying to pay close attention to the angles I see in front of me, and the Lego train is really one of the things that can help me to do that. If I pay close attention to the proportion lines and the way that the diagonals are moving away from me, I can kind of really help to capture my point of view here. So I'm still trying to work out some basic shapes before I get too crazy into any details, and I do also need to think about working out some slight issues with proportion. So I'm redrawing the sidewalk chalk. It was a little ill-placed and definitely out of proportion, so I'm going to try to redraw it here, keeping similar angle but improving the proportions. The sidewalk chalk is something that we use a lot. We get outside a lot to sit in the front of the house and draw on the sidewalk, and it's been a really fun way to spend some time together and enjoy some sunshine. So I'm finishing up with the pencil, just adding in some shadows, and then I'm going to go over this with some watercolor wash. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to finish this up with some watercolor. I'm just using a simple Crayola set and a water brush. I'm just going to go through and wash in some basic colors to get started, and then I'll refine them a little bit later and add in a little bit more shadow. All in all, this drawing has taken me a little bit of time, but it's been quite an enjoyable and fun sketch. I'm probably going to keep it a little bit more on the looser side and not go too crazy with all the fine details. Keep it a little bit more playful and fun. Let's get some nice bright red in there. Kind of liven that up a little bit. I like how that yellow just jumps off the page. Just about wraps up the basic sketch and wash. So let's get a little bit of darkening in my shadows, and I'll kind of group these and leave it a little bit unfinished on the edges just to kind of pull together the sketch and just not overcomplicate it too much. So from start to finish, this sketch and watercolor wash was taking me about an hour and a half to complete, and I'm just about wrapping it up right now. And finally, our journal entries. What 3 things did you draw? What makes each of these things so important? And finally, how does this time, the stay-at-home order or the coronavirus, impact the way that you value these items? Thank you for watching. To keep up with all of our lessons, please subscribe to Stecher Studios.